the first quarterback in the history of the National Football League in his first 8 seasons to have a winning season 8 out of 8 years. And he's tied for the most regular season wins in the first 8 seasons with Tom Brady. No quarterback's ever won more than Brady and Russell Wilson in their first 8 years. 6-time Pro Bowler, 7 of 8 years playoffs. And I honestly thought, I don't know if they could have beaten San Francisco, but I thought had they not fallen apart in the backfield last year physically, I thought they had either the best or the second best team in the NFC, along with San Francisco. And my friend Russell Wilson, Super Bowl champ, is joining me. By the way, that must be so hard for you because I really liked that team last year. And then, Russell, the bottom line is that you can't control injuries, and you lost every running back in 2 weeks. I mean, what was that like to go through?
Well, it was definitely tough. First of all, Colin, always great to be on the show, man.
Thanks.
First of all, but obviously it was tough, going through that last year, just because we had a bunch of guys get injured, a lot of great players. I mean, Disley was having a record-breaking year at the beginning of the year. He went down. Then we had a bunch of other guys go down too as well, and then obviously our running backs too as well, and also you think about our left tackle Dwayne, he was out for several weeks. So we had to battle. We kept battling. Honestly, we were a half inch short of really overcoming the NFC West there at the end.
Yeah.
And so it was a great matchup, but 2 great teams going after it.
Yeah. How are you? I do worry a little bit, no OTAs, and I strongly doubt we'd have a 4-game preseason this year, but I don't know anything. But you are keeping in great shape because you've got you have the kind of money that you can build your own gym and do your own stuff, and I follow you every day. Are you a little worried about younger players? They may live in an apartment. They don't have the means maybe to have their own gym. Do you think we could have a little bit of an issue on guys coming into camp and Russell, they're just not ready to play?
Oh, for sure. I definitely that's a huge problem, and I think it could be a problem if guys aren't professional enough. And I think the great thing with our team, which I can speak on our team, is I know guys are really professional about their off-season programs and how they're thinking about it, how they're working, and how they spend their time. And even before this whole Corona thing happened, they were already working. And so that's the great thing. And we've been on a bunch of FaceTime calls and Zoom calls and WebEx calls and everything else, just talking ball already, just us players and stuff like that. And so we're excited. Guys are dialed in that sense and trying to win a championship. And the reality for me is how I look at it is potentially in 4 months the ball is going to be kicked off and it's time to play football, and the expectations are going to be high, and my expectations are going to be higher. And I think the reality is that if you want to be great, you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
In your approach, in your habits, every day. You can't change. You got to get better. You got to learn how to adjust in the midst of a storm, and you got to remain neutral. And your mindset's got to be neutral. You can't be too high, can't be too low.
Yeah.
And just the great thing right now in the midst of all the storm, I always try to find the goodness in it all. Is get to be around your family.
Yes.
Spend that quality time. That's the blessing in it all. But also at the same time, you have to be able to learn how to be really, really professional in the midst of it.
Yeah, I was just saying I went on a 3.5-hour drive with my daughter the other day, and we just talked about life, and we talked about her college, and I literally got back and I told her, I said, I feel so lucky. This pandemic has given me this opportunity to go deeper into our relationship, and I think there's so many different. I mean, let's be honest about this. You could potentially play football with no fans. How would that sit with you?
Well, listen, I think first of all, the world's going through a lot right now, and I think about, my mom's she's a nurse, clinical leader in Seattle. She's been an ER nurse for a long time before that, and she's helping give these, she's helping, basically build these test sites and stuff like that in Seattle, and she's been helping this one test site in particular, and giving tests and everything else, and this is real, man. This is really real. It's pretty scary. People are losing their lives, everything else, and so football. So even though it's my mental priority, and trying to get prepared, it's life is the number one priority, and I think for us players, obviously you see guys like Vaughn and different players, get corona. It's real. You see guys in the NBA and just family, not necessarily family members, but you see different people that or whatever, that they get it. This is very, very real. You have to be very cautious, and I think for us to go back out there, I think it's got to be the right decision. I think it's got to make sense for us to go back out there, because obviously if fans aren't going out there, there's a reason, right? So,
right.
I think there's, listen, I definitely want to play football. That's for sure. I love the game. I love the process. But you also love your family. You love love the people that you get to lead and inspire, and so you want to make sure that you do everything you can to stay healthy. And I think that's the concern right now.
When I first met you, I think it was at the New Orleans Super Bowl, and you were. It
was.
Yeah, and I shook your hand and I talked to you, and I told my producer Vince at the time when you walked away, I said, I'm not sure I've ever met a 23-year-old human that I'm more impressed with. And this may be private, but your parents, they deserve a ton of credit too. It's when you look back at your childhood, and did it feel special? Because you had to generate, there had to have been some leadership wisdom in your family, not taking any credit away from you, but you were ready I watched the Michael Jordan documentary. Mm-hmm. He had a very strong...
One of my favorites ever, by the way. That documentary.
Very strong mother, very strong father, and I think it absolutely... Michael was very polished he was ready to be a superstar in the NBA, Russell, and a lot of guys aren't. I would predict or guess you had strong people in your childhood.
Oh, for sure. My grandfather, he was the president of Norfolk State for 22 years, and had to lead a lot of people, and then so I was around him and his, boisterous voice. He had talked like this. He'd tell you these stories, and you'd sit down, his laugh when you're 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, and listen to these stories that he'd tell about amazing athletes and everything else. My dad, went to Dartmouth. Graduated from there. Went to UVA Law School, president of his class and stuff. My mom went to UVA. So, for me, but my dad also played. Got a chance to try out for the San Diego Chargers. Dan Fouts and Kellen Winslow Sr. Got to be with them. He was the last person cut on the team and everything else. So he had gotten professional experience. But I think more than anything, what my parents taught me is they gave me an imagination. They really let me believe and write out my visions and talk to me and set goals and write out goals and have a plan. I think a lot of times, a lot of people, a lot of kids, and especially this generation, we don't have a strategy. We don't have a plan, and we don't have this vision. And then we lose it. Because we don't have a plan, we don't understand the work ethic part behind the plan. Right? Because if I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what it takes to get there. So we got to know what it takes to get there.
Right.
I think that love, that passion, that respect for the journey, that respect for the process, you got to have that first, and then enjoy the fruits of your labor later. And I think so many people see the flash and this and that, but they don't want to be steady Eddie in the process. They don't want to have to deal with the journey, the blood, sweat, and tears of it all. And I think, I love the studying part of the game. I love the early mornings and the late nights and all the stuff in between. And then come to Sunday, you get to play the greatest game in the world. And you got millions and millions of people watching you, and you're one of 32 men in the world. Man, it's a gift. But you don't get the gift if you don't want to put the work in. And so there's no substitute for hard work. There's no substitute for hard work. So you got to put the work in. You got to love it. You got to love the work more than even the winning. Because the winning, how you win a lot is winning the process.
Yes.
And that's what you got to love.
Yep.
That's what I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with the process.
By the way,
I'm obsessed with the mentality.
When you're watching Last Dance, and I mean, I'm sitting there, and it's funny. I want to be a sensitive guy and an evolved guy, but Michael's a man's man, Russell. I mean, he is confrontational, and he gets after teammates, and he's swearing at teammates, and it's interesting. I don't know how it would play today, but you are in these leadership situations. That is not how you lead. You're much more optimistic. When you watch MJ and he's rough on teammates, what does that take you? What do you think about that?
Well, I think that you can't displace or not understand that he has this unbelievable competitive edge. this unmatchable competitive edge that, I want to bring to the field every single time I play. When teams see me in the fourth quarter, when I'm walking on the field, they already know. I want them to anticipate what's going to happen. Right? I want them to feel that before I even walk onto the field. Right? Same thing in practice. It's got to be the same thing. That's the work ethic part. That's the competitive nature that you got to bring to every single body, every other person, the other 10 guys in the huddle, the other 11 guys on the other side of the field. They got to feel that presence. But I think more than anything else, what Michael was able to do is, it wasn't that he wasn't positive. He was just positively sure what it took to be great.
Yeah.
And I think some people, communicate differently. To me, at the end of the day, though, you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
What makes a great player, a great leader, a great leader, or a great father or mother, is they're consistent every day, and you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that Michael brought today. He's consistent in his approach,
his effort,
his mentality.
Yeah, no, his effort. He was the most, forget who's the best or whatever. He's probably the most relentless basketball player I've ever seen. Just both ends of the floor, just burning all the time. Russell Wilson's joining us. For the record, let's go back 8 years. You had gone to NC State. I've told you the story before. I saw your first start in college.
Yep.
And I texted Kirk Herbstreit from my couch. I've never done this since. I said, "Who's Russell Wilson? This kid is insane." I've never done that to any other. I didn't want to bother him, right? And then you go to Wisconsin, very conservative offense, and your numbers are insane. And you don't go in the first round. And you don't go in the second round. And, you're just a little shorter than the classic NFL quarterback. Third round starts. What's going through your head before you're picked?
Well, the crazy thing is, I'm sitting in my uncle's house in D.C. and we're sitting in the basement. And I got no cell phone service down there. First of all, so I'm struggling. And they got the ESPN cameras all over me. And he's got this old phone hooked up into the wall with the long cord and everything else. And he's a lawyer, so the phone keeps ringing. Hey, can I speak to Mr. Wilson? I'm thinking it's a team. In the beginning of the second round, not a team. It's some client. Hey, another call. 10 minutes later. Hey, can I speak to Mr. Wilson? Yeah, this is him. I'm expecting it's, maybe the Seahawks or somebody. Sure enough, it's not. So next thing I know, it's the third round. I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, well, now the camera's on me, and John Gruden's talking about me, and all this kind of stuff on TV, and so, anyways, finally, for that split second, I get one little bar on my phone, and it's 206 area code. I'm like, oh my God, it's Seattle, and I pick up the phone, and I was excited. Listen, I had been through a baseball draft, a couple times and everything else. I think that ultimately what I knew was the hay was in the barn. I did everything I could in college, and now it was time to go set a new tone in the NFL. And I just wanted a chance. In life, sometimes you just want a chance to do something great. And Coach Carroll, John Schneider, Paul Allen, and rest in peace in him. But I just wanted the chance, and they gave me the chance. And I was going to do everything I could from a competitive nature, from my mentality to come in and be ready to play. And I was ready from the get-go. I just wanted to give me the ball, let me go play. And at the end of the day, you got to show up. Every time you step on the field, every time those lights come on, it's prime time. It's time to show up. It's time to show out. And that's what I wanted to do. And I had great players around me, man.
Yeah.
It helped to have great players around you, guys who were competitive too, and you matched that, and it worked together. And it was a lot of fun. And it still is to this day. And it's been a pretty cool journey, for 8 years. And I feel like I'm just getting started. That's the greatest feeling, when you feel like you're just getting started. You got great players around you, guys like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and we just signed Greg Olsen. You got different players around you, so you get excited about that, and you just love the journey of it. So hopefully we can keep it going.
By the way, you are partnering with a company and helping feed America. You had a gift recently. I believe it was over 1 million meals. Tell me more about it, because it was incredibly impressive. And when I saw it, I said, we got to get Russell on the show.
Well, yeah, it's been pretty cool journey for Sierra and I during this time, in the sense that just the give back part of it is to be able to serve. I think God puts us on this earth to serve and love and care and give back. And so, for Sia and I, obviously Seattle was hit hard, man. It was pretty heavy in Seattle, and so what we decided to do, that we really wanted to make a difference, just by trying to see if we could, help with food and everything else. And obviously we partnered up with Feeding America, and we donated 1 million meals to the Seattle area. And
wow.
then from there, Kenny D, who's CEO of Wheels Up, and father figure to me, kind of, he picks me up. He picks up the phone and calls me and says, "Hey, man, I was inspired. Let's do something with Wheels Up." And so sure enough, we created this idea called Meals Up. And we wanted to get to 10 million meals, and sure enough, we hit that within 2 to 3 days,
wow.
pretty quickly. And some pretty cool people helped out too, Tom and different people, and Alex and Jennifer and just different people like that. And so it was cool, and so that was a great thing. And then right now, we have our WCI Wilson Celebrity Invitational, and so we've had to deal with that process and deal with that. So now we're trying to think of a creative way to do something really cool. So we're in the midst of that, and so we really want to make a difference with our Why Not You Foundation, and just try to serve and give back and love. And obviously, a lot of people are going through a lot of things. So people need food, people need resources. This is a tough time, and I think one of the important things that we've been in the midst of is we have this company called Limitless Minds, where it's a partner with Trevor Moad, who's one of the best mental coaches in the game. He's worked with Alabama for years, Georgia, OKC Thunder, works with the LA Clippers right now. And one of the things that my brother Harry and DJ, we partnered up together to talk about mentality. And so we're in this process of communicating and trying to build this podcast out for Danger Talk and Limitless Minds, to where we get to talk to the unemployed and people that need some influence and impact, and just trying to find creative ways to do special stuff. And so be on the lookout for that. I may call on you, Colin. I may need you to show up on the show one day.
Yep, absolutely, no question. Yeah. Wheels Up, by the way, Kenny and those guys are, Miles Rogers and those guys are such class acts.
Yeah,
they're great. Russell, congratulations. I believe you just announced you're expecting a baby boy.
Yeah, we got a baby boy coming, so I'm fired up about that. And I'm a stepdad, which has been the greatest gift that God has given me, besides C and life, is just being a stepdad and learning how to, loving somebody that's not necessarily biologically yours, but loving them like they are, and hopefully we become like the Mannings, so that'd be fun, but it'll be cool. The funny thing is in all the baby pictures, as we're trying to, go to do the ultrasound. Sierra and I were just talking about this. I was just talking to Coach Carroll, earlier today, but I was telling him, all these pictures of the baby. He's got his hand up in the ultrasound picture, and he's got his hand up like he's holding a football right in front of his face. So I think he's ready.
He is ready. Yeah. Speaking of the draft, he'll be 20 years from now. He'll be a draft pick right there.
He'll be ready to roll.
Hey, Russell, great talking to you.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, man. I appreciate the time, and just keep inspiring people, man, and grateful for what you do. So thanks for having me on the show always, man.
You appreciate it. Russell Wilson, folks. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.